Good evening and welcome to Texas Talkin', the only show in America where we say what you're not supposed to say in polite company at country club cocktail parties. I'm your host, Shiloh Platts, and tonight we've got two seismic stories that should matter to every Texan. Yes, even you out there in Travis County, fiddling with your smartphones while the world changes underneath you. Let's start with the first headline. Zoran Mamdani, the 34-year-old Democratic socialist who pulled off a victory for mayor of the biggest city in America. He's promising rent freezes, higher minimum wages, city-run grocery stores, a full-tilt communist agenda. Now, you might ask, Shiloh, why in the world should we care about this in Texas? It's New York. Well, because, folks, what happens in the blue bastions doesn't stay there. It ripples, it echoes, it spreads like venereal disease, and sooner or later it shows up at the doorstep of Austin, Houston, Dallas, and yes, even Beaumont. Meanwhile, across the national capital, the federal government has been shut down. Not for a day, not for a week, for weeks. In fact, it's been the longest shutdown in U.S. history. You know what that means. Vital services on hold, federal workers furloughed, food aid delayed, airport staffing stretched, causing hours-long waits. Now, let me connect the dots because this is where the rubber meets the road. Mamdani's win isn't just a left-wing victory in New York. It's a flashing sign about how out of touch major urban areas are with reality. And the government shutdown? It's proof the old guard of the Democrat Party isn't just asleep. It's losing control. Gone are the days of the so-called Reagan Democrat. When you combine a rising progressive takeover in the urban cores with a federal breakdown of funding and services, you get one thing: opportunity for those who are hell-bent on seizing control, and danger for those of us who think Texas is immune. Think about our local economy: petrochemical plants, ports, refineries, small businesses in the Golden Triangle. They rely not just on local policy, but on federal infrastructure, on regulatory certainty, on federal state contracts. When the federal government's in gridlock, you feel it. When the policy winds change in New York, the consultants and lobbyists look for the next breakout. Texas becomes a target. They smell the momentum. They want to transport the model. So here's what we Texans need to do. Keep our boots to the ground, keep our eyes open, and refuse to drift into complacency. Because if a radical Islamist like Mamdani can win a mayoral race in an American city, then we need to be awake. And if the federal government can be brought to its knees because of Democrat leftists who do not even hold a majority in Congress, then we should be asking, are we built on rock or sand? So whether you're in the boardroom of a Southeast Texas energy firm, behind the counter at a local restaurant, or turning wrenches at a refinery, know this: the fight for policies, money, culture, power is happening. Not just in Austin or Washington, but in corridors you rarely think about. Joining us next for expert analysis that you won't find anywhere else around here is Newsmax TV anchor and syndicated radio host Chris Salcedo. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. I don't even have to say it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's get dialed in. Well, he's the author of a brand new book called The Liberty-Loving Latino, which you can find on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. Joining us now is Newsmax TV host and nationally syndicated radio host, my friend Chris Salcedo. Chris, thanks for coming back on.
Shiloh, great to be with you, man. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. So tell us about this new book.
Well, yeah, it's dropping on December 9th. You can order it now on Amazon, and you can save yourself a couple of bucks. And my publisher will pop the champagne every single time you do. It's a great gift for the liberty lover in your life. It's called The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. And basically the Liberty-Loving Latino is my moniker. That's when I got out of news and went into opinion. I wanted to contrast myself with leftists out there, loudmouth leftist Latinos. So I came up with that moniker. And I've been coming up with these concepts since the conservative talk radio show has been on. And they all happen to just come to fruition in the 2024 election when a majority of Latino men pulled the lever for America First, and a record number of Latinos writ large pulled the lever for America First. And ta-da, everything I've been talking about all these years had finally come to pass. And so I detail in the book what I classify as the greatest political revolution to hit this country since the formation of the Republican Party. And that is millions of liberty-loving Latinos joining the fight to keep this country free.
It is a seismic ideological shift, and I've talked about it ad nauseum on this program. But I want to ask you, what are your thoughts as to why so many Latinos and Latinas, mind you, have shifted from traditionally being Democrats to now being bold Republicans?
Well, it's not exactly bold Republicans. They're switching from being Marxist Democrats or just Democrats finding out they're Marxists, switching to the America First coalition. The 2025 election that we just had solidified for everybody that the Republican Party is nothing without the America First coalition. Trump wasn't on the ballot, and guess what? The Democrats elected a Marxist in the capital of.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, in New York, they elected a couple of Democrats who had CCP backing. They elected a guy who wished death upon his political opponents and his political opponents' children. The Republicans couldn't even beat that because a lot of those Republicans in Virginia ran away from Trump, ran away from the America First coalition and the America First principles, and they lost. And so that's the cautionary tale. Latinos did not show up to vote for Republicans. They voted for America First and Donald J. Trump.
So speaking of this last election we just had last week, let's peel the layers back a little bit further. I want to ask you, what are your key takeaways, both nationally and locally here in Texas, from that election?
The 2025 election, or
the one we just had last week?
Yeah, that was basically it. That first off, they're classifying it as a blue wave. Democrats won in Democrat strongholds, folks. They're supposed to win. Now, that being said, violence was on the ballot. Marxism was on the ballot, and Republicans couldn't even muster enough support in those jurisdictions to make a fight of it. And it was quite something. I think it told Texans, it showed us what not to do. You know, John Cornyn was late. He was late to reopen the government. He was the 60th vote, and this cat couldn't even. Every other senator found their way to the Capitol just fine, but John Cornyn, Mr. Worthless, couldn't find his way to be there on time to be the crucial 60th vote. I think what we have been shown here in Texas, if we want to continue to go the way of these milquetoast fake Republicans, then our fate is sealed. You might as well just start voting Democrat.
So how the hell does a guy like Zoran Mamdani get elected in America's largest city? America's
largest city has been Sodom, has been Gomorrah. I mean, you know what New York has descended into. I think it's going to be good news for Texas. I think it's going to be good news for Florida. I think those people that are fleeing the Marxist Mamdani's New York.
I like that moniker.
Yeah. They're going to be coming here looking for freedom. I think the New York Stock Exchange, I'm not the only one to say this. I've been advocating it for years, but Stephen Moore, famed economist, is out there saying that they should be looking at real estate here in Texas to relocate the stock exchange here because capitalism is no longer welcome in New York. The way it happens is apathy. The way it happens is a group of people who have been mal-educated because of the government-run education system. And they believe that, hey, what's wrong with socialism? What's wrong with communism? They're about ready to find out.
In a big way. Yep. So the government shutdown. Who do you think voters will hold accountable? And what are some of the key takeaways that we can learn here in Texas and abroad from this latest shutdown?
Well, I was just, oddly enough, doing a podcast on this very topic. And just today, when you and I are talking here, Dick Durbin came out on the Senate floor. And Dick Durbin admitted that the Democrats' objective was to starve children to achieve their political objectives of winning elections and satisfy and mollify their kook, fringe, nut, anti-American base. So I think that what we can learn here in Texas is that 42 million people were reliant on the government, some illegal, some American citizens, were reliant on the government for their food, for their basic food sustenance. And these same people who not only had the power, but also showed they were willing to cut off Americans' food for their political gain, right? These same people want to take over your health care. So the next time John Cornyn says, "Oh, we got to work with Democrats. Yeah, we got to work with them. We got to show how bipartisan we are." Yeah. We're going to give these same people who have shown they're willing to weaponize government, take away children's food. We're going to give them power over our health care. Oh, I don't think so. So that's the lesson. Folks, run away like hell from individuals who are fake Republicans, who are saying, the bipartisanship is the way to go. That is not the way to go. You don't find common ground with Marxists. You defeat them.
Amen. Couldn't have said it better myself. So the Texas AG race and the U.S. Senate race here in Texas, give us a breakdown. What are your thoughts? What should we expect to see?
Well, I think it's very telling when you look at the Senate race. John Cornyn is consistently polling in the 20s. Ken Paxton consistently polling in the 40s. Wesley Hunt is somewhere in the middle teens. And it was thought that Wesley Hunt was going to start drawing from Ken Paxton. Turns out he's not. It turns out he's drawing from the Republicans who believe that government still has a huge role in our life. And he's drawing from those who want somebody who's a conservative and espouses conservatism, but still believes in government control over our population. So he's taking away from John Cornyn's vote. And that's why Cornyn is attacking a black conservative relentlessly now on social media. It's a wonderful thing to watch. While Ken Paxton sits back and says, "Hey, I'm going to sue Tylenol. I'm going to get accountability. I'm going to go and sue individuals who were bringing illegal aliens into the state of Texas." Yeah. So John Cornyn and Wesley Hunt are fighting over the establishment vote, while Ken Paxton is running away with the conservative base vote.
I've heard it said that this is going to be the most expensive third place loss in Republican primary Senate history. And it may be. I don't know if Cornyn would finish third or second, but I certainly don't think he has the wherewithal to pull off a victory, Chris.
I hope that it is the most expensive. I hope the Republican Senatorial Committee, that they lose their shirts. I hope there's no more money left over from competitive races because they dump it all in trying to save this worthless fake Republican by the name of John Cornyn. And by the way, the Republican Senate Committee has received their last dime from me. Never again will I support them for trying to put their thumbs on the primary race in Texas. And again, curse us with one of the most ineffective individuals in government, John Cornyn.
Now let's talk about the Texas AG race. Aaron Reitz, Mays Middleton, Chip Roy. How does it break down?
I think, look, I know Aaron Reitz. I like Aaron Reitz. I think he's a fine successor to Ken Paxton. The problem he has is name ID. And everybody knows Chip Roy. Everybody knows that Chip Roy and his vociferous defense in the Freedom Caucus, his espousing conservatism. They're not very familiar with his legal background. That could hurt him. But by and large, I think that Chip Roy has the name ID, which is crucial. Sad to say, even though he earned his name ID. I just think it's sad to say that because of name ID and not the qualifications these men are bringing to the table to have it out as far as who's going to be the most appropriate successor to the Attorney General Ken Paxton, who is going to be the thorn in leftist side to protect us from the lawfare being launched by leftists. That should be the conversation. Sadly, it's not the conversation. And I think if it was, we'd be having more substantive debates on the AG race. Right now, as it stands, just my casual observation is that it's Chip Roy's to lose.
I think that's the consensus among the politicos across the state. Chris, I want to thank you for taking some time again, coming back on Texas Talkin'. You're a great friend of this program. We always appreciate your perspective. May God bless you, sir, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Thank you for helping us keep Texas talking.
Thank you for, first off, the invite to promoting the book. It's a very personal project for me. And God's blessings to you, and happy Thanksgiving to the family, okay?
Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, sir. Thank you.
See you, partner.
Stay dialed in to interviews and content just like this by clicking that follow button on my Facebook page, or hit the subscribe button to learn more about exclusive access that you won't want to miss.